Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and well, this actually is relatively different because, well, it took me, listen, uh, confession time, guys. I am a huge fan of the VTubing community because I think, in terms of, from an entertainment perspective, I think it's very interesting how you can just sort of animate yourself and bring yourself to life through any particular means. And because I don't really want this to be an entire video talking about, well, the zeitgeist surrounding the popularity of VTubers, or so how scandal after scandal, and well, lots of really nice people have been screwed over in the process, but none becomes more sad, if you will, than what happened earlier this morning. I heard the news that apparently, so from what I heard, or from what I can gather, Cinder and apparently her boyfriend, like, manager, I'm not entirely sure what the connection is. Apparently there was some sort of level of gatekeeping involved, in which certain VTubers who were, like, extremely popular, like Numi, Bao, and Spite, I believe they were sort of being targeted by certain people, like, not to give them improved VTubing models. And apparently there was some massive outbreak in terms of leaked DMs on Discord. And essentially what happened is that Cinder was kind of caught red-handed. She immediately pushes the blame onto her manager, and she says apparently after 10 hours she's going to come out with a much longer response. I'm assuming the reason why Cinder decided to do that is because she legitimately has to think of exactly what she's going to say. Because, to be honest, from what I gathered, there's a bit of a rabbit hole that goes on here. And what we're actually going to do, we're actually going to read from Spite's perspective, specifically my experience with Cinder. So we're sort of, depending on how this story goes, and I suspect there's probably going to be a lot of other people are going to be talking about it, because like I said, because I follow a lot of VTubers, a lot of them have immediately, like, Vexoria, Discordia, Lucajin, there's like, and there's, but without really wanting to, like, go over, like, every person, I just want to say right now, well, this just, what a sad situation this is for the people that have been hurt by this, not for the perpetrators. Absolutely no way. And with that being said, let's actually just get started, shall we? I want to start by saying, please do not send any hate to anyone involved in this. I only wish to speak about my experiences and give more clarity on those experiences. First and foremost, my love and admiration goes out to Nanoless for having the courage to bring this to light. Artists are the backbone of our community, and taking advantage of her good-willed personality is saddening to see. I want to take the time to address what has been brought to light involving myself and what I've experienced over the years that coincide with these events. In this screenshot, the VTuber that is being talked about is very clearly me. Since the beginning of my VTuber journey, it has been written in my backstory and lore that I'm a daughter of a Cerberus. And, well, I'll just take a small pause there. For those who are wondering what on earth this is all about, it's actually quite a popular thing in amongst the VTubing community that they actually give some sort of backstory to their character models. If for no other reason, it makes them, it's kind of good that they try to build a little bit of a mythos behind what has come about. For example, you have Vexoria the Sun Eater, who's meant to be this 8,000 foot tall snake lady who wants to destroy the entire universe by literally devouring it. You also get VTubers like Porcelain Maid, who is meant to be this sort of reanimated corpse from from basically amounting to what is like an H.P. Lovecraft monster that is seeped into this porcelain figurine. And then, of course, you have Lucajin, who is, well, basically just this really, really nice middle-aged horse mommy who likes to plant, likes to bake bread, and is incredibly supportive of her transgender husband, Prototype John. And yes, it is. It's a genuinely a very, very nice little niche, and it's just one everybody has a lot of fun with. Even Cotis Zolon, his entire backstory is the fact that, well, he was there for Vexoria's eldest snake, and well, I'm pretty sure that's about it. I never really know exactly what like Zolon's lore is meant to be, but I'm sure we'll find it. I'm pretty sure he follows me on Twitter, but who knows? Let's get back to the story, shall we? And though an unforeseen summoning mishap, the Greek goddess Hecate, as many of you know, Cerberus is a species of hellhound, and I've always incorporated the number 3 in my designs to follow the 3 heads of Cerberus. In my early design, and when artists were still learning new model/rigging techniques, I had opted for 2 other wolf heads on my shoulders as pauldrons to symbolically represent my other 2 heads. However, the repeated comments of, "If you're a Cerberus, where are your other 2 heads?" and had pushed me to use the broader term hellhound at the time. Fast forward to months to a year into my journey, and I started to receive harassment and berating comments and chat messages on Twitch and YouTube videos comparing me to Sinder and putting me down for being a hellhound. Making the definitive switch to the Cerberus label brought me a sense of relief, because the last thing I wanted was to be constantly compared or harassed at this point. They say that comparison is the thief of joy. But why people need to resort to harassing somebody like Spite, I have absolutely no idea. And don't get me wrong, there's also a lot of people say that there's some really weird stuff going on. Fillion, for example, gets a lot of flack for essentially using a free model, and I think something about how she doesn't give credit to the original artist. I don't know how. Now, that's a thing I keep hearing. I have no idea if this is in any way true, but considering it hasn't really affected Fillion that much, I hardly think so. And I know, by the way, there's loads of others, by the way, who've also go through like similar interests in terms of, well, where they get their inspiration. Though where you could get the inspiration for Cottontail, however, from, she started off as kind of like this bunny girl, I think, and then she became some sort of succubi demon. It's a bit of an interesting little transition, if you ask me. Or how Prism is still basically this rollerblading unicorn lady. Yeah, the VTubing community is really, really bizarre, but there's some fantastic people behind it. Not just the people who are behind the camera making the puppets move, but also the people who actually put this whole show together. I'm sorry for getting sidetracked on here, but it's, for those who don't know about this, it's kind of, I'm trying to bring this up to speed because, well, for a very long time, Latina VTuber Iron Mouse was one of the most, I think is still probably one of the most subbed Twitch channels to this day. And I say that because she too got a fair amount of abuse and harassment from Case and I stans who thought that how on earth can she beat Kai of all things. And Iron Mouse, by the way, has had actually quite a traumatic experience, not just because she suffers from some form of chronic disability in which it kind of crippled her intentions of becoming an opera singer, but the community have all rallied round Iron Mouse and Nyanas and Connor as well, or Sea Dog. They've all rallied round her and they overcome this. Even Kai Sene was actually quite horrified at how much people were really giving flack to Iron Mouse. For what exactly? I don't understand what. Just being nice to each. If there's one thing to gather from this, it's just being nice to each other. Anyway, sorry, where was I? Fast forward to months into a year, and I'd started to receive harassments on Twitch and YouTube videos comparing me to Snyder, Making the definitive switch to the Cerberus label brought me a sense of relief because the last thing I wanted was to be constantly compared or harassed at this point. I didn't want to be associated with her due to all the negativity that was being thrown my way. Redacted. Then like a month later unfollowed her on Twitter and started taking her ideas. Sinder's ideas. Like the flames, and now she's basically rebranded to more of a fire Cerberus. Using fire emojis all the time. Never did that before. It's funny because she used to call herself a hellhound but stopped when Sinder grew past her and now uses Cerberus or Cerber Pup or whatever her lore says is, I don't know. The unfollow is weird, question face. Yeah, so it's like there was also unprovoked tweets from her like, I didn't copy anyone else for my design is all me, this is who I am. Like, huh? Who are you saying that to? Oh, lol, on random Sinder clips on YouTube. There was one dedicated blank fan, or someone she knew, I don't know, that would comment on these clips saying like, when you are going to clip blank only on Sinder clips. Oh boy. As for the claims of unfollowing her and taking her ideas, I debuted my 2.0 live 2D model May 14th, 2022, and on that same day, she decided to post her debut announcement for her 1.0 live 2D model. Leading up to this time, I didn't know Sinder was at all. I had no idea she had fire in her ears or that she was another hellhound. The creator space is broad and I still stumble across creators larger than myself that I had not heard of before. I never once stole her ideas. All I ever want is to try to be unique in my own way, so these claims that I was following her and then unfollowing and stealing her ideas are absolutely baseless and uncalled for. As you can see here, attention, now that my account isn't restricted, I can repost I'm dragging you to the underworld on May 14th, 3 PM EST for my new model reveal debut. 3rd of May 2022, and then immediately below this, Sinder, June 14th of May, and well, the similarities aren't like the similarities are actually a little bit far more on display than other people would see. Her posting her debut announcement trailer the same day as my 2.0 debut seemed off, but I shrugged it off as a coincidence because things happen. However, this wasn't the last time something like this had happened. There had been multiple times where I have done something and either the same day or shortly after I was made aware or had discovered later that something similar had been posted, making me feel like I was being watched constantly. I tried my best to believe that it was coincidental and not ill intent on their part. There were many times when I designed a new outfit that I was really excited for, but afterwards, Sinder would release outfits or models with similarities to it. I didn't think much of it at first because it is normal to have some similarities, or shared inspirations with other creators. The VTubing community is a huge space and similarities are normal. Now, to be fair to Spite, that is absolutely true. For example, there are dozens of catgirl VTubers, but at the same time, there is also only one Cassie. Cassie for... I think it's pronounced Q-S-I-I. For those who don't know the significance of that, is that that was the same VTuber that Asmongold just stumbled across when he was like trying to check out... or I think the story was he was trying to figure out why people were playing Genshin Impact, and Asmongold came across Cassie, and Cassie was just playing very casually, being very polite. She's native Japanese, and her English was actually very, very good before she actually started to learn more and more English, because there was lots more people. And when I say Cassie's career sort of blew up because of that one fated incident. But then again, Cassie was always very on the level and just very, very calm and relaxed and very, very pleasant as well. So, and these are the sorts of people that are out there, but nobody quite knows where they are. And as I was trying to say before, there's plenty of people who are like that, but just Some people get seen, and some people are just seen for how there's. However, when it comes to stuff like this between Spite and Sinder, I don't know, guys. It feels as if, well, there is something a little bit strange going on. Maybe it is because the timing was too close together. Who knows? It actually would have been really, really interesting to see what happens if, the tables were turned and Sinder came out with something first and then Spite followed it up. Do you think there would be people pointing in Spite's direction? Because, let's face it, as far as this story is concerned, all they were doing is they were hating on Spite just because, well, Sinder apparently was more popular, and people were falsely under the impression that Sinder came first, and there were people who were just trying to hop on the bandwagon. Anyways, I'm not speaking to whether my designs were taken as direct references for hers. I'm addressing the need for the unprovoked tweets mentioned in the screenshot above and showing that I made the statements to make it clear that I was not stealing ideas. How can I copy something that was released /teased /revealed after my own? Which, that's absolutely true. And also, even in the VTubing community, because a lot of money does go into the design of these 2D models. With that being said, have you guys actually ever seen Cultist Zolon's VTubing design? It's so hilariously low budget that there is actually a really, really cool little charm to it. But at the same time, it's not about what goes into it. It's also the person behind it's about the personality that shines through. And, well, that's just something I'm probably gonna have to keep bringing up again, because as far as this story is going on for, I feel like it's gonna get worse before we come full circle. Anyway, on July 20th, 2022, Mayu Live, my model mama, and I worked on a comfy goth girl outfit. I had rips in my t-shirt, a G-string, shorts, and spiked wrist cuffs. 2 weeks after Sinder debuted a similar outfit, I included the earliest image that I could find of Sinder with this outfit. I received many negative comments about my design from people assuming that I copied her when I debuted it 2 weeks before hers. I got called off-brand Sinder, and just a bunch of horrible things. Sounds great, I'm so happy with it. Yeah, it's becoming a little... and to be honest, there is something very suspicious going on with this. Some people may say this seems a little bit like we're trying to find things, but I don't know. It's not sitting right. I discovered this merchandise that she used for Uwu Market and had to do a double take because of the grey-blue skin tone used in the art. Several people thought it was me, and the similarities for this speaks for themselves, I feel. So this is Spite. You see she's even got like a little paw print underneath her foot. And, well, there might be another comparison, but we'll keep going. On April 29th, 2024, I designed a Greek goddess outfit on stream. I am a Cerberus VTuber, so it fits my lore completely. I mentioned that I may or may not get a future Greek goddess outfit, because it fits my branding. About 4 months ago, Sinder debuted a Heaven Okami-inspired outfit that was white and gold, resembling a Greek goddess. In the background for her debut, she also included Greek columns. At this point, I felt like nothing I could come up with would even be slightly original to me. I'm aware that nothing is completely original, but I still wanted my own identity. Now, absolutely, to be fair, absolutely to Spite, I can absolutely work out what the problem is, because look at this. Let's go back up here. This is Spite's. The influences are pretty on the nose, and yeah, you could see where it's coming from. And then Sinder kind of also has this. Now, you could argue the reason why I think people will be under the impression Sinder did this first is because, well, the budget behind her and everything, and there's clearly a little bit more on it, but Now, in case you're wondering why this is a problem for so many people, it's the fact that, well, they're playing it off as though Spite is somehow only ever going to be regarded as second best, and people can talk about however they want. And please bear in mind, at no point in any of this, and maybe this is something Sinder will come out with, had Sinder said at any point, don't harass Spite, don't harass Bao, or don't harass anybody at all. What good do you think that's going to do? What good do you think that does? If I was Sinder, and at the very first moment, you have to and this is the thing, I have to also really bring this back to a little bit. Forget the influencers, forget being a VTuber. You are also a streamer. You are also somebody who sits in front of a camera, kind of like what I do, and you have got to straight up be responsible. Not just for yourself, but also you've got to make sure your audience don't get any smart or stupid ideas. Like, they think it's perfectly natural and fine to go and harass people just because they look a little bit similar, although the reasons may be a bit more shrouded, if you will. I don't like a culture, ladies and gentlemen, that seems to suggest that people are justified to do horrible things just because they feel like they can, and that nobody is going to stop them. Now, with that being said, it might be absolutely true that Sinder may at some point have told people not to harass other people. That might have absolutely have been true. However, well, that might be something we'll have to dig up as well. Because, to be honest, I'm not entirely because people who... why would you, anyway? And I've known... And bear in mind, the very last tweet I saw, ironically, from Lucajin before I hit play on this, was called Be Kind to Each Other. And, well, to be fair, I would rather sooner go to, VTubers like Lucajin or Senshin or Zolon. There's too many I would actually rather go to first to seek legitimate, mature advice. Because, honestly, I think they've been there. It also comes a little bit with age. And, growing up and stuff like that. Meanwhile, on April 20th, 2024, I debuted a new model from my model mama, a Harvey VT. I got a hoodie with a cute design on top, and I had side bangs covering my eyes. On April 4th, 2025, Sinder debuted a sports hoodie with side bangs covering her eyes, similar to mine. Okay, now, and look at that. Cindy even has, the backgrounds of, I don't know, Vexola. She's kind of like this southern spider lady. Tricky Wee, Numi. Is that meant to be Bao in the background as well? I know it's also quite the thing for VTubers to also, like, share memories and, well, share friendships and stuff like that. And to be... And then, of course, well, Tricky Wee is also somebody, to be honest, who is, well, there are a lot, and then, of course, there's, I suppose the only other comparison I can make is maybe between Tricky Wee and Six. Both, they sort of go for slightly different inspirations. They're both kind of more inspired by Egyptian mythology, although both are very, very different. Tricky Wee's is more of a harpy dragon-inspired idea, but then she has, like, these cool little colourful ghost mascots with her. Six is more bounded to the likes of Cleopatra VII, and she also prides herself, among many other things, as being the first ever belly dancer VTuber. And honestly, you know what? That's actually really, really cool. And even developing the sort of technology that you could even have to even pulse that sort of thing off, it's actually, you know what? I'll give it credit. It's absolutely her thing, and I can't think of anybody else who does it. There may be other cases, but I can't think of things being blow out to this sort of these sorts of proportions. But let's keep rolling. There are some instances that I do not have screenshots of. For example, I remember posting about my first ASMR stream. The day that I was supposed to do said stream, Sinder plugged her ASMR channel. okay, that's just weird. I thought it was a bit suspect, but brushed it off. I don't have screenshots of the comments and bullying that I received from her community. There were too many that it became too much to keep track of and just started ignoring them. Because I never wanted to save images of their words that hurt me. I mean, Spite, if it makes you feel any better, I've received quite a number of very, very harsh and very, very personal messages as well. However, one thing that does stand out a little bit, and maybe Spite is watching this or something, I honestly have no idea. Probably not. But I just want to say this. We're behind you, Spite. Because there is no excuse for people going on the attack like this. I can't think of any reason whatsoever. I don't even know what the hell Spite, if you're watching this, I have no idea what the hell you were expected to do. I have no idea what you were expected to say. What is the why are people really? Some people are just jerks. Spite. However, it's just if things like this are anything to go by, maybe the big message will be at the end of this. You know what? Separate the cowardly, spineless types with those who legitimately care. You know what? Again, Prism, Lucajin, Ariel. There's too many better sorts of people out there. Even Papa Mutt. Well, I like Papa Mutt, but you know what? Go find more people like that. That's the sort of crowd you want to be with, because, good lord, there are some cobwebs that are really being blasted here. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's see, where was I? I don't even want to read the harassing comments in the first place. I just wanted to be left alone and be happy in my own space. You know what? This is actually starting to sound a little bit familiar, guys. Do you guys remember the stories about what happened to Joe Cat after he posted that I Like Girls video? This is beginning to sound like a lot of the harassment and the death threats that even Joe Cat received. And Joe Cat did absolutely nothing wrong either. So why were people, why were people think they were justified to do the things they did to Joe Cat in the same way the things that have happened to Spite? What is it? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And guess what? I hope to God that I live old enough to still remember about why I'm not going to accept it or condone it. Nor do I accept or condone that sort of attitude or behavior on this channel either. I'm going to nip that one in the bud right there. We don't like those sorts of people here. We don't like the sorts of people who are just jerks and dangerous ones either, because there's nothing brave about bullying, guys. You probably don't need to hear that from me, but in case I haven't said it, well, you can't tell me I haven't now. I received a DM on January 25th, 2023. I would not disclose who the sender was without their consent. The sender expressed to me that they were getting bullied by Sinder and certain members of Sinder's community, because she too had fire in her ears. I never responded to the DM because I wanted to stay away from the drama as much as possible. Hey, you popped in my feed, and can I just say I love your design? I had a rather odd question, I supposed. Have you ever had any messages from the VTuber Sinder regarding your design? This may seem out of nowhere, but I'm only asking because I made an OC like a while back, and I was accused by her and others of stealing her design, because my dog girl had flames in her ears, and her fans claimed that that was exclusive to her design. It was this whole big ordeal on Twitter, so I wondered if anything similar happened to you yet. I would like to clarify, I myself am not saying your design looks like hers. I was scrolling, saw your totally awesome design. When I saw the flames near in the ears, I had flashbacks and thought of myself, oh no. So I guess this is just my curiosity getting the best of me. I'm just very saddened and disappointed in the situation. I had my suspicions about this, but I've never wanted to be a part of the drama, so I kept quiet. I've also seen what happens when a creator stands up for themselves and receives major backlash, even if they're in the right, so I've never vocalized my concerns. I've always designed my own models. I've gotten inspiration from Cerberus, with the chains and spikes, Disney's Hades, and because I call myself Goth Girlfriend, I was inspired by Sam and Ember from Danny Phantom, plus many of our goth crushes that we've had grown up on. I just focused on myself and my friends, meanwhile I had eyes on me the whole time. Knowing that I was being watched and talked poorly about really hurts, especially when they never attempted to interact with me. And like I said before, I can't ever remember if there was any other interaction between Sinder and Spite, so there's no way of knowing whatsoever if Sinder was concerned about all this. I did my best to go through and find what I could and get appropriate screenshots. It's crazy because I didn't know who Sinder was until she debuted her live 2D. I just wanted to exist peacefully as a VTuber and spend my time drama-free. I woke up this morning in shock. It's terrifying and hurtful to know that someone could attempt to blacklist me, when I've never even spoken to them. I hope going forward that no one else has to experience anything like this. Thank you guys for being supportive towards me. I love this community so much. Please go and give love and support to all those who have unfortunately been involved in this situation. Please support Nanoless, who was brave enough to speak up, and the VTubers who were affected. Please support my first model, Mama, the wonderful Mai Live, and also my most recent model, Mama, the wholesome Ari VT. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Now, I just want to say for the record right now, and we're going to sort of bring it to an end here, I don't know about you guys, but I think that is actually very, very conclusive. And I would say, even though there are two sides to this story, whatever response Sinder comes out with, and there is, I don't really doubt myself that there's going to be some sort of response, because Sinder has an awful lot to answer to for all of this, outside of just saying they're not going to be working with Redacted anymore. Well, I'm just going to say right now, well, again, Spite, I'm sorry this had to happen to you. I'm sorry this happened to Nanoless as well. If Nanoless also has like a written statement about her experience with Sinder, I would very much love to read it as well. And well, I'll just say this about Sinder and about Redacted as well. Whatever the instigations are, or whoever really did start all this, I just want to say for the record right now, like Spite, I'm not upset. I'm disappointed, because I think everybody expected more from you people like this. So I'm gonna go and actually I'm gonna go send out a tweet saying, you know what, I'm sorry to you, Spite, because you're probably never gonna hear it from Sinder, but you know what, you'd rather hear it from me because you deserve an apology. And to Nanoless, we can't forget about her as well. And with that being said, well, what do you guys think about the situation? And I suspect there's probably going to be a little bit more to it than this. So take care and look after each. In the words of William Shakespeare, love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. And I'll see all of you guys again next time. Thank you. Well, hello again. And just before each and every one of you leave, if I could just hold your attention for a few more seconds, and I want to show you very quickly my Patreon store. I've been running this for 5 years now, and ever since this month began, I have decided to reopen, relaunch, completely sort out my categories for videos, and I've uploaded them sometimes as far as 3 months in advance. So you guys will be able to get an exclusive look exactly what's coming out, when it's coming out, at your convenience. So make sure to stop by, take a look around, and let's see what you think. Thank you very much for supporting me once again, and I'll see you again next time.